Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to give evidence to the Committee on the current state and the future of Canada's diplomatic capacity in a turbulent world. The geopolitical landscape has undeniably transformed in the past decade. The return of great power competition to the center stage, particularly between the United States and the People's Republic of China, the rise of regional powers such as India and Turkey as more assertive actors in international politics, democratic backsliding across the world, the emergence of an authoritarian axis between China, Russia, and Iran, and of course, the return of major war to Europe with Russia's unprovoked and illegal war of conquest against Ukraine, just to name a few of the key developments we witnessed in the past decade or so. Here is the unfortunate reality. It is likely to get worse in the coming years. What can Canada do in such a world? I'd like to offer the following observations today in the time allocated to me. National interest should be the lens through which Canadian foreign policy should be formulated and pursued. Thanks to our fortunate geography, Canada's national interest manifests itself mainly in the two key directions in foreign policy and foreign affairs. First, our relationship with the United States is of paramount importance to Canada's security and prosperity. In fact, it is existential. Maintaining and cultivating this special relationship, regardless of who is in power in Canada and the United States, must be the first priority. It cannot be taken for granted, and we cannot afford to be complacent and assume all will be well. Canada is and should remain a good friend and a reliable ally to the United States, and be able to demonstrate this fact in words and deeds. Second, as a trading nation, our prosperity heavily depends on a well-functioning, stable, and open international order. Canada should do its part in defending and maintaining such an order. This, in practice, means working with our allies and partners in multilateral and minilateral settings and contributing to their prosperity and security. Doing so, however, requires bringing something tangible to the table, rather than just words that enhance others' security and prosperity. In Canada's case, let me suggest that our natural resources, from energy to agriculture to critical minerals, are our biggest advantage and leverage. Canada is in most cases in the top 5 in terms of production, reserves, or exporting when it comes to what the world wants and needs. Having the necessary infrastructure, policies, and capabilities to get these resources to the world markets in order to reduce our allies' and partners' reliance on authoritarian or unstable regimes for their energy security and critical mineral needs that are essential for energy transition, while helping to feed the world's most vulnerable, should be a foreign policy priority. This is an area that Canada can make a difference in the world while increasing our prosperity. I'd like to conclude by saying that interest-based foreign policy does not mean ignoring values. In fact, interests are downstream from values. Our fundamental national interest is the protection of Canadians' security and prosperity. But it is not only limited to physical security and material well-being. It is also about our ability to continue to enjoy and practice our way of life, including values and rights, such as the rule of law, human rights, democracy, free markets, and freedom of expression, press, and assembly. Defending them against threats, foreign and domestic, is in the Canadian national interest. This means working with allies and partners in international fora with intention and not blindly following the convention. We should identify those multilateral organizations that continue to advance our interests and double down on them. At the same time, we should have a hard look at which tables we do not need to be at and leave them when they no longer serve our purposes. It also means thinking creatively about international groupings, including minilateral arrangements of like-minded states centered around specific issues. To quote from a recent piece I wrote with 2 other co-authors, Canada needs to pivot its approach to global engagement While there is pride in our traditional image of being a cooperative country, the reality is that trying to be everywhere often means being nowhere. With limited resources, we must take a discerning stance on where to invest Canada's energies and make sure that the intended results are achieved. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to your questions.